All right, hello and welcome back to Detox Rehab Presents Daily Reflections. My name is Brandon, I'll be your moderator, and today we have Bianca, Sarah, and Connor joining us. How you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Good.
All right, so let's go ahead and go right into the daily reflection, which is titled, I Am Responsible. The alcoholic may find it hard to reestablish friendly relations with his children. In time, they will see that he is a new man, and in their own way, they will let him know it. From that point on, progress will be rapid. Marvelous results often follow such a reunion. That's from page 134. Moving on, it says, while on the road to recovery, I received a gift that could not be purchased. It was a card from my son in college saying, Dad, you can't imagine how glad I am that everything is okay. Happy birthday. I love you. My son had told me that he loved me before. It had been during the previous Christmas holiday when he had said to me while crying, Dad, I love you. Can't you see what you're doing to yourself? I couldn't. Choked with emotion, I had cried, but this time when I received my son's card, my tears were tears of joy, not desperation.
So this reading for me, I don't have children, but I have a family. And it reminds me of my sister and my little brother most of all. With my sister, she posted a status on Facebook when it was her birthday last year around November and was like, I started crying not because of what Bianca said in the letter, it's because I actually got one from her. And it just shows what an impact my active addiction did to my family. And it's not about what was written, but it's just that you're there and you're present and you're doing what you need to do. And on the other side of things, when I was in my active addiction, my little brother sent me a text message and he said, please stop getting high. I don't want you to die. I love you. And when he said that to me, I called my mom and I blamed her. I was like, why would you tell him to say that? And she was like, it wasn't me, it was him. And that just showed me I was bawling because there was nothing at that moment in time that I could do about it because the drugs and alcohol have already taken over. They've possessed me. And now today, I can be with my family and I can be with my parents and I can be the person that I was meant to be because of my recovery, and I don't have to have those emotions anymore. My sister's going to receive a birthday card for the second year in a row from me from being sober this coming November, and my little brother doesn't have to text me anymore saying, I don't want you to die because you're getting high. I want you to be here. Now I can actually be there and be present because of what I do in my recovery to make that possible. Yeah.
Where were you when you sent the letter?
When I sent the letter to my sister, I had just gotten out of jail. And it was September, October, November. I got out September 25th, and not this year, last year, and because I was yesterday. But I was actually in my kitchen, and I was crying while I was writing it, just because I was happy I was able to send something to her, because my sister's done so much for me, and she's the actual person that's truly stuck by my side and never gave up on me. I can say that. And it just felt really good to send it to her because she lives in California now. 2 weeks before I got out of jail, she moved to California. So it's I left California because that's where I was in jail, and then she went. It was kind of sad. But I'm just happy that I was able and sober to be able to show her the appreciation that she deserved.
Mm-hmm. I know when it comes to reestablishing, my brother's in recovery, and so for the longest he was really, really distant. And growing up, I didn't really understand why. I just knew that he wasn't there. So now that he's in recovery and he's trying to reach out and he's coming to the family stuff and he's sending birthday cards and he's going to be at my graduation, it's pretty amazing, but it takes a little bit of time to build that relationship back, just because you're so used to them not being there and not showing up that it takes a little bit of time, but it's worth it.
Right.
It says right here, in time they will see that he's a new man, and in their own way they will let him know it. And it took And I mean, I'm still rebuilding relationships with family.
Yeah.
And it's so funny. It says in their own way, and I can definitely see that. Like, not everybody is super accepting of me right away,
Right.
because I distanced myself. You know, I pushed myself away even after I got sober, because I wasn't really, I guess, confident in myself,
Right.
because I'm probably more scared than they are.
Yeah.
You know,
that makes a lot of sense.
I know myself really well, and most likely I'm going to get high, right?
Right.
But when I'm not, and I'm trying to do the right thing and build relationships with my family and be present for events or birthdays or, you know, whatever it is, it's just kind of strange at first for both parties, I think. But it rebuilds over time, and I've definitely felt more love and acceptance from my family. So.
When you said you were scared, is it because you didn't want to disappoint them?
Yeah, of course. Definitely. I mean, you know, I've tried a few times to get sober, and it just hadn't worked out.
Right.
And letting people down is a huge fear, you know, and it takes time to be the person that I want to be for them.
Right.
Want to move to the next one?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you all for sharing. Next up, we are going to be going to the Just for Today. And today's Just for Today is titled, Seeing Ourselves in Others. It will not make us better people to judge the faults of another. How easy it is to point out the faults of others. There's a reason for this. The defects we identify most easily in others are often the defects we are most familiar with in our own characters. We may notice our best friend's tendency to spend too much money, but if we examine our own spending habits, we'll probably find the same compulsiveness. We may decide our sponsors is too much involved in service, but we find that we haven't spent a single weekend with our families in the past 3 months because of one service commitment or another. What we dislike in our fellows are often those things we dislike most in ourselves. We can turn this observation to our spiritual advantage. When we are stricken with the impulse to judge someone else, we can redirect the impulse in such a way as to recognize our own defects more clearly. What we see will guide our actions towards recovery and help us become emotionally healthy and happy individuals. Just for today, I will look beyond the character defects of others and recognize my own.
Okay. I really enjoy this reading because this is me to a T. Like, we see things as we are, not as they are, and I always pick out things that I don't want in other people that I don't want to admit about myself. Like, with one person that's really close to me, I'm like, you never work at, like, a strong recovery program. Like, what are you doing today for your recovery? And it's just, I look at myself and it's like, what am I doing today for my recovery? Like, what is it that makes me so interested in what they're doing when I'm not looking at myself? And I think it's funny because when we may notice our best friend's tendencies to spend too much money, that's me too. Like, I always freak out on people. I'm like, you spend way too much money, and I got paid, like, 5 days ago, and I have, like, $70 left, you know? Like, I'm just not good at that. And it's so easy to pick out others' faults, but when it comes down to looking at your own, it's scary. But it's also when you do it, and you get to the point of it, it helps you become a better person, and it helps you achieve what you want to achieve, so you're not sitting there and just looking at what you can do. Like, you're going to start looking at what you can do better to make yourself feel better the next day, instead of just sitting there and being like, damn, I should have done this, I should have done that. But if you start looking at what you're really thinking about others, maybe you should start thinking about yourself.
I think it's a skill,
Yeah,
right, that you have
definitely.
to develop over time. And the first thing that comes to my head when we talk about this is traffic, right? Is like, if somebody cuts me off, like the giant ball of angry fire in my chest that you know that happens instantly, and it's definitely taken, I mean, and I'm not perfect at it, but it takes some time to like separate the instant emotions between the actions, right? And take that period of time and make it longer, and know that, you know, I've cut people off before, and I've been the asshole driver before, and
Me every
yeah,
day. Literally,
And-
it's so bad.
right. But if I can take that time, right, and look at what I'm doing, like, am I late for work,
Right.
right? Because that's my fault.
Right.
It's not their fault. So I think my actions are an underlying cause of what's happening and why I'm angry, and not even anger, fear, whatever kind of emotion is going on. It's so important to recognize myself and how I can grow, because getting mad at somebody else isn't going to do anything for me. It's really
Right.
it might make my day worse.
Yeah. Yeah, because you're
Honestly.
going to milk it all day and be like, damn,
Right.
you know, this was a horrible day, but, you know, there's this quote, and or was it a horrible 5 minutes that you milked all day?
Yeah.
You know?
It's like you have to make sure to take the time to like sit back and actually think like, okay, so why am I feeling like this? Like,
Right.
Yeah, what's the actual cause? Because that person cutting me off shouldn't make me that angry.
Uh-huh.
It's what's going on with me that is,
Yeah, I
is
know.
bringing it out.
I've never thought about it in traffic. Maybe I should start looking at myself more when I'm driving to see what's wrong with me. Like,
Right.
really, Bianca, think about what's going on in your life, because it's so true. Like, how I react to things is my problem. It's not their problem. And it's taken some time to learn that.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when you finally realize that the world doesn't revolve around you and everything is everyone else's fault, it's just very freeing. And I don't know, but Sarah, you were saying that your brother's in recovery.
Yeah.
How long does he have?
About 6 months, I think, like 6.5.
How does that make you feel?
Incredibly proud.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing, and I know that it's difficult, and I know that he's trying so hard. And I thought about it when you said that. It kind of makes you, I don't remember how you said it, like you were kind of afraid to go around your family and stuff, and I know he feels like that too.
Right.
So it's just try to be there as much as I can, but you know. But it's amazing to know that, like, well, like when I graduated for my AA, he wasn't there. He was
Right.
off in Vegas, like crazy. But he's gonna be at this one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's amazing.
You see the change in behavior.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. He's always, I mean, he's a really sarcastic person, but when he was using it was like mean and more like angry.
Right.
And now we all enjoy being around him, and like we want him to come. We don't like invite him out to dinner with everybody just because we feel like we have to. It's because we
Right.
actually want him there.
That's
So
it's family.
Do you have like any advice for other brothers and sisters and parents and family members for those who have people who are struggling?
Yeah, I guess just let them know that you're there and don't take it personally. Because, like I said, when I was younger, I didn't understand that the reason why he didn't want to be around us was because he was in addiction. I thought he just didn't like me and he didn't want to be around me, and it was an issue with me. So don't take it personally, and be willing and open when they're ready.
Right.
Yeah, when they're ready for recovery, when they're starting to come back around, be open to it. Don't close yourself off.
Thank you. That helps me a lot too, because, you know, I put myself in my sister's shoes, and I look at you and it's like, wow, like a relationship can be rebuilt over just, you know, doing the right thing. So I just had to ask that. Thank you. Do we have any questions?
We do, of course. We have
Yay.
questions. The first question is titled Anger and Recovery. The person says, I'm trying to recover from addiction, but I find myself getting angry. I lashed out at my younger daughter, and we both cried. I cried longer than she did. Is it normal when trying to stop an addiction to have moments where you feel out of control?
Yes. I mean, pause when agitated is kind of what I live by. You know, it's hard to, but when you feel, it just brings me back to this reading. When you feel like lashing out on someone, what's going on inside with you that is making you feel that way? Like, maybe you should just take a look at yourself and step back. And it's normal to have feelings that you don't understand, especially if you're new in sobriety, because we've been masking those feelings for so long that we don't necessarily understand or know how to cope with certain things that we're feeling. I don't know. Connor, do you have anything else to add to that?
I mean, so I'm not always going to be able to pause before I commit action, I
Yeah.
guess, you know,
Yeah.
or say something stupid. But I mean, recognizing it is very important. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, you feel it afterwards, like, you know, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have said those things, or whatever it is. And I think that's the second point where you can be like, okay, I've done this. How do I take care of my own actions? How do I right my wrongs?
Right.
I mean, it's definitely pausing when agitated if you can, but perfectly understandable
If you don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Because we're human, we make mistakes just like everybody else, and I think that recognizing it and then trying to right it
Right.
is super important. And
Yeah. That's good. I didn't think about it that way. Like, as long as you recognize it and you learn from it and you don't go back to it, there's a section for growth there. You know, it's only going to make you grow. Do you have anything to add, Sarah? Or?
I just like the second point of action is like, that's a really good way of putting that, because you might have missed like the first, you know, to pause and think about it, but after that you have the choice to learn from it
Right.
and grow. So yeah.
Cool.
All right, we'll go ahead and move on to another question here. And the question is, what advice could you give to your loved ones who want to help but feel so helpless? And I think this can go for in either exchange of an addict seeking recovery or the friends and families trying to get the addict to recovery themselves.
Do you want to repeat that one more time for me?
Sorry. What advice could you give to your loved ones who want to help but feel helpless?
Okay.
who want to help me? Or
Um,
like just help the person who's recovering in general?
I think either really would be good advice.
What do you say?
I mean, seeing the lack of control for either party, I think, is an important part because I can't make anybody do anything.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can't, like we were talking about reacclimating into the family. Like,
Yeah.
I can't make somebody do anything.
Right.
And you're talking about being open and willing to help when it's possible, and that's probably the only thing you can do. I mean,
Yeah.
getting educated on addiction, I mean, I think you learn that I don't have power over you,
Right.
you know, and I can only control my own actions and what I do, and being open is definitely the key part.
Right.
Not shutting yourself off from that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's easy to do. When somebody burns you over and over and over, there's a certain point where it's just like, I don't even want to deal with you.
Right.
I can't, because you just burned me. And I think setting the boundaries between, like, I'm not going to let you burn me, but I'm here to help you if you
Right.
need it, it's like a gray area, and it's
Yeah,
difficult.
that can be difficult.
But, you got to find those boundaries.
Right. I mean, that's really how I feel about the question. Do you have anything to add to that?
I think another thing would be like understanding, because I know there's a lot of people in my brother's life that don't get it. Like, they didn't
Yeah.
get why he had to go to rehab or go into detox. You know, well, can he just sit on the couch for a couple of days and get over it? Well, no.
Yeah, not really.
There's a lot more involved in that. So,
Gotta learn.
and not a lot of people do understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so just having that understanding. Try to understand what they're going through.
Yeah.
Could go to Al-Anon.
This is true. This is true. Or other 12-step groups. You know, they could help. see both sides from the story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Education and boundaries.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the answer.
All right. Let's see. The next question we have is: were you able to mend any of the broken bridges in your life with people who walked away during your addiction?
The majority for me. I think it's different with everyone and how the other people feel and if they're ready, but like to not push them to be like, hey, come back in my life, I'm sober. Like more prove it to them that you're ready to do the right thing and you're ready for change. And as soon as they're ready, they can come back into your life. There are some people that still to this day don't want anything to do with me, and I have to be okay with it because it was my actions that led them to be this way. Like it's not their fault. It's mine, and the majority of my family, they have trust in me and they love me, and it's more of just some friendships and some family members that I did like horrible things to that aren't ready for my forgiveness, and they're not. I mean, I don't think I don't want to say willing to see the change in me, but
They just don't care.
yeah, they don't care to.
I mean, rebuilding relationships is probably a key goal of making amends to some people in your life. Going back and trying to right the behavior that you commit. Burning people, like we were talking about. I burned so many people, and in my life, in my experience, like I've been able to, I can't really think of anybody who just completely shut off from me. I'm lucky, it's good. My family is very caring, very loving, and some of them took a little bit of time, right? But
they're back.
Right, but I was eventually able to show them that I'm a dependable person, I'm part of the family, I'm here for them.
Right.
And
You're
that's
a productive member of society.
yeah, I mean, for the most part, right? But just that I can be the person that they are looking for.
Right.
Right, and that's just me being who I am now. I'm not trying to change for them, but I was changing for myself. And, it takes time, right? It takes time, it takes working a program, it takes making up for the action that you made. But if some people aren't willing to accept that, I cannot control that.
Right.
And that's okay. I am here and willing when you're ready.
Yeah. And that's all that matters, is if you're here and willing when they're ready. So.
All right, good answers. The next question we have is: how many times have you attempted to stop your addiction, and what were some of the setbacks that you faced?
I couldn't tell you how many times that I really couldn't. I wasn't willing to change. That's the main thing. Like, I didn't want to do what was necessary to change. I didn't want to go to 12-step meetings. I didn't want to work the 12 steps. I didn't want to. The only thing I wanted, this will make it easier, is to get high. That's the only thing I wanted, and I wasn't ready. I didn't believe in a power greater than myself. I was my power greater than myself, which really isn't a good idea to have. Yeah, I just wasn't ready, and I wasn't willing to change, and I wasn't willing to take the steps necessary to change.
Right. Could you read the question again?
Absolutely. How many times have you attempted to stop your addiction, and what were some of the setbacks you faced?
Setbacks. A lot. I try to stop a lot. After getting into like opiates, like Percocets and heroin, physical withdrawal was a huge setback, and I think that a lot of us end up thinking that, if I can just get through physical withdrawals, like I'll be good, I'm not using again, I'm not going to do it. But I mean, I said that a couple times, and I still, I got through physical withdrawals and I still got high.
Right.
There's a point somewhere that I crossed, probably, I think I was born like this, but I'm just not gonna stop. And setbacks don't mean anything until I hit that point where I'm desperate enough to want recovery.
Right.
That's it. You know, so many setbacks,
Yeah.
and they're all of my own doing.
Mhm.
All me. I did that, and it takes a while to point the finger at myself instead of pointing it at everybody else.
Right.
But yeah, a lot.
All right, thank you for the answer. The next question we have is rock bottom an actual thing?
I believe there's an internal and external rock bottom. My external rock bottom was, being legitimately homeless, not having a place to stay, living, sleeping on concrete. That was what I did, and having everything I own materialistically taken from me, and getting out of jail with just the clothes on my back and a 12-step book. That was my external rock bottom. My internal rock bottom was feeling the desperation. I was desperate for change. I absolutely needed it in order to survive, and I realized that if I wasn't going to change and if I wasn't going to choose recovery, the only other option I had was death. And I do believe that there's a rock bottom, but it's different for everyone. Yours could be sitting at a Circle K and just realizing that you're done talking to another homeless person, or it could be sitting on your couch in a really nice, beautiful house with your family and looking around and being like, what have I done? What am I doing? My family doesn't deserve this. It could be multiple different things, but for me, my internal was more important than my external. When I knew deep down inside that I was ready for change, that's when change happened.
I definitely agree with the desperation factor. I don't think really external things matter.
Right.
It's not oh, I don't have a car anymore. I think I really need to get sober.
Mm-hmm. But you do know people who've said that.
I've heard some crazy things. But,
yeah.
Being in recovery, I know a lot of people, and I know a lot of people's stories, and I don't really think that there's a scale of your bottom was really bad, or your bottom was and definitely some people have more intense stories than others.
Yeah.
But I think the turning point, right, the key part of change is that desperation of that point that everyone in recovery gets to, and they know,
Right.
It's like an acceptance of I know what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Right, I'm gonna end up in jail or an institution or dead, and either you decide you're okay with that, or you decide you can't have any more. And at that point, some kind of desperation comes about, and I start taking actions for my own life, for recovery, to get some help. Right, that point of asking for help is
Right.
so
It's important.
Right.
Sarah, what about your brother? Do you think he had a rock bottom?
Yeah, I think that his was definitely more internal because, throughout his addiction, he held down a job, he did all that, and I think that might be partially what took him so long is because he felt like he had a hold of it. And then he just said one day, kind of like what he was sitting on the couch with his family, and he was just like, well, what am I doing? He has a little girl now, so it just kind of, I think he just reached that point where he was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right.
And we were actually a little nervous for a while because it was about 2 months before he was able to get into detox after he reached out and asked for help. And I know that, so we were kind of worried that in that waiting period that he would decide that he didn't want to go anymore.
Right.
That's rough.
Yeah.
Because I know in my experience, when somebody's willing to go to detox or treatment, now.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's go.
Right.
Because otherwise tomorrow you might change your mind. 2 months, I don't.
Yeah. So I guess he just got to that point and he was really done.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible to stop.
So we are actually almost out of time and out of questions, but we do have a comment from Candice. She says, there's still such a stigma attached to addicts. I wish people knew how bad we want to recover and how hard it is. And just to respond to Candice as a moderator, that's one of the reasons why we're doing this live stream. That's one of the reasons that we're here live on Facebook talking about it, is because we want to show that, you know, Sarah's brother, Connor, and Bianca can all recover and leave their addiction behind and lead functioning, happy lives.
Right.
So we do this live stream every Monday at 12 o'clock, I believe Pacific Standard Time. I want to thank everybody for tuning in, and we will see you a week from now on Monday.
Bye, guys.
Sir.